Hello. Hello. Okay, we're on. Alrighty. I'm going to share this in the group so we all know that I'm live. Oh, it's showing it in the group now. There we go. Okay, I think it's working. There we go. All right. Welcome back to day 2. I hope you enjoyed your lesson, and if you didn't really get a chance yet, well, first of all, just congratulations on, this is gonna be distracting for people. Okay. Okay. Congratulations on getting to day 2. I'm really proud of you. And are you excited about your goals? Did you watch today's lesson? Did you write out what you'll need for your supplies, your money, your research, your equipment, any of those things? And if you didn't get to today's lesson, a short synopsis is that I discussed the difference between a recurring goal and a big fat goal, aka a long-term goal. And I think that it's important to have one of each. I talked about how if you keep putting your happy goals on the same to-do list as your regular errands, you won't really be motivated to accomplish them because you won't know to prioritize them. So we're shifting gears to prioritize your happy goals to the same status as if you are going to a wedding. If you're in a wedding and you're making it there, you're going to that wedding, okay? No matter what, you're gonna make it happen. Even if that happy goal is something that is on a recurring status that's happening every day. I also told you to think about how often you want your recurring goal to happen, even if that seemed kind of absurd with your current life and schedule. And that today we are going to figure out a way to make it happen no matter what. So first of all, if you have any reflections or takeaways or questions from today's lesson, feel free to share them in the comments. And the pinned comment here is going to take you right back to today's workbook, the bonus, which were some fun cell phone backgrounds that I made as a collage. And I also want to know what you learned and maybe what you're in outrage or disbelief of so far. Anything that you've learned. Also, what is your recurring goal? How often do you want to do it? And rank how likely you feel like it is likely to happen on that scale of 1 to 10. 10 being unreasonable and 10 being completely doable. So I'm going to put that in the comments. I want you to share that, okay? All right. Let's see. So while you're doing that, I'm going to give you an example from my life about planning and making things work. So when I was working full-time and going to school full-time, commuting to both places, driving over 100 miles a day, I decided that I was going to enter an art show called Fun a Day. The purpose of the show was to create art once a day that could be entered into that show. Many of the artists were painters, so they would do like 30 tiny canvases, and some of the painters would work on one large piece and they would paint a little bit on it each day. I had never been in an art show before, and I didn't want to flake out on the rules, but I later found out that many people did. It was just like a very fluid situation. People also batched things every day, so they would do like 7 things all at once and then work on it later, which is honestly completely fair. But I thought I was going to be ineligible or disqualified or something if I didn't do it the right way that they shared in the rules. So every day in January, I drove to a 4th city on my commute to install my street art for the day because that was what I decided to do. I also insisted that it had to be in Baltimore City proper, so that was why I had to go to a 4th city. To be fair, it was winter break, and for a couple weeks I didn't also have to drive to school, but I would have done it regardless. I came up with my ideas and made them happen. On the last day, I remember it being pouring rain, almost freezing temperature, and I was just so cold and wet, and I felt really accomplished and proud that I had done that. So I'm giving you that specific example because even though working for myself is often so much harder than working for someone else in my experience, because I'm in charge of everything and I just understand that that's difficult to relate to because of my life and my schedule, because even though I never really stop working, I can also take a break for an emergency whenever I need to. And both sides are difficult to understand unless you're an entrepreneur. So I wanted to give an example of adding in something new. When I was clocking hours with additional responsibilities like school and commutes and therapy that I no longer have, simply because I know that it can be difficult to look at any aspect of privilege and say, sure, it's easy for you or them because XYZ, and I get that. And sometimes it is. And then we write off, as a result of that thought process, our own ability to do the same thing due to our current circumstances. And I don't presume to say that what is happening in your life with working, commuting, going to school, therapy, like what was happening in my life back then is less chaotic than your current schedule. But this example is there to provide perspective that fun is worth making time for. And that art show that I did when that schedule was very chaotic for me was one of the best things I ever did in my life. And I look back on that time crunch with deep fondness and admiration for myself. It also didn't feel bad, the commute to Baltimore versus the commute that I was making to school and to work and to home and to therapy felt exciting. That commute specifically to Baltimore, I felt like I was on fire and inspired. I enjoyed that time. Sometimes we think that adding in something to our schedule will automatically make us feel more tired and exhausted, but that's usually because the things that we're doing are things that deplete us. So remember, you're used to, like I said, trying really hard, but you've been trying hard at the wrong things. So when you add in the right thing, a fun thing, it can actually make us feel more alive. So I'm not here to advocate for you to exhaust yourself though. Either way, no way, don't overextend. And I am here in a different decade of my life than when I did that art show. I just wanted to share that with you. But also, if I wanted to do the same thing now, a street art installation every day, and let's say that my schedule changed all of a sudden, and I woke up tomorrow and I had to go to school and work for someone else and commute with my current body and physicality, this is what I would do. I would decide if it was more important to me to do quality installations all at once or to get the energy and feelings from doing something every day, even though they might not be as in-depth. So if I decided on quality over quantity, then I would decide on a recurring aspect though. So I'm going to do it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and then I would create my art at night when I'm unwinding while watching movies or stand up. And I would plan my locations out in advance and do everything all at once as much as possible as I could on one install day. And then if I decided that I wanted to do something every day, just for that boost and that daily interaction, even if it's a lower production value, I would get a head start before I started installing so I could have a bag full of stuff And I would come up with a bulk creation idea and make a bunch of them in advance. And again, well, I would do that while I was watching TV. And maybe I'd make enough for an entire month before I got started. And then I would keep them in my car. And on my lunch break, I would go find a new place to put them. So this process is similar for you in terms of my advice for you as far as deciding how to make your goal happen as often as you possibly can with your schedule. So first, I want you to ask yourself about the frequency versus production value. If you want to have a picnic, is it more important to you that your picnic is cute with the right blanket, basket, fun food, a matching outfit, ambiance, inviting friends, whatever, like, or for you, is it more about eating in the sun and eating outside as often as possible? This is about getting in touch with your why this goal feels fun. You know how two people can like the same TV show, but they can like it for completely different reasons? That's this. So what is the reason you think picnics are fun, or what your goal is fun? This is going to inform how often you want to do it. If you need to make sure that you have gourmet food and you're cutting crusts off of your sandwiches, and that just means you're going to need more time, and it likely won't be able to be a daily thing depending on your schedule. But is it worth it for you to do that? Then yeah, if that's your why, let's commit to why it feels good to you. If you want to have picnics with friends, then you are going to want to organize a schedule with them. And that might take more time to get the right schedule down. If you want to eat in the sun, then you can do that no matter where you are, unless it's raining maybe. So reject the idea right now of being high or low maintenance in this space right here, because as you're hearing these options, that might be coming up for you. If any thoughts of being too much, extra, not enough come up right now, blow it out of your body right now. Some reasons, some whys, they will simply take more time. That's nothing, it just is. Now, you can come up with creative ways to make sure things are happening on repeat as often as you want. Before I move into this, if you're here, I'd love to know, with the goal that you've chosen, how do you feel like you are motivated to do it? Does your goal feel like you're motivated with a very specific why? I remember yesterday Melissa was saying like she's motivated to go to coffee shops and to have dance parties. So what is the reason behind that? There's two different goals there, so there's going to be two different reasons. So the amount of recurrence in that would be motivated by a couple different factors, right? So with the grandkids, the dance parties with the grandkids, that's going to depend on their availability, right? So if you only get to see them once a month, then that's as often as you could possibly do it, right? But if you are going to see a new coffee place every time, is it about seeing new coffee places within your city? Is it about seeing new coffee places that have a very specific drink? Is it about seeing new coffee places that have art on the walls? You know what I mean? Like, is there any other angle that you want to try? Because that could also play into your why, right? And if there's not, then you still just can pick a recurrence and keep going with that. And Candace's goal was learning how to dance as well. Melissa mentioned dancing, and then it kind of angled into dancing with her grandkids. And Candace wanted to learn how to dance. And when she said the shuffle, I thought that she meant shuffling cards. But it was actually this really cool shuffle dance. It's like a very specific choreography that I think started on TikTok, but they're doing all these really cool dances on YouTube and everything. And I posted it here in the group for everybody to see, and as well as a tutorial if anybody else wants to learn. So Candace wants to learn how to dance. So we established that yesterday that Candace wants to learn how to dance for herself, right? To do it around the house. So if that was something that you only wanted, not only, but if the motivation is to do it for you alone and not to do it in a performance way, right, for anyone else, then you can also ask yourself, like, is there a specific kind of dance? Is there, you mentioned the shuffle. Is there any other, are there any other factors that are intriguing to you? The same way that I asked about or started philosophizing about Melissa's coffee shop, right? So is there anything else that feels exciting to you about dancing? Is there an outfit that you want to wear? Like, have you always been interested in like the Jane Fonda kind of like outfit from those workouts? Is there like specific TikTok trends that you want to keep up with? Do you want to be able to like do what's your ultimate goal too? Like, we can merge this with what we talked about yesterday and think about, like, what does a Tuesday look like for you in a year where you can just like bust out anything? What would your ultimate skill look like? So then you can kind of like merge these ideas in all at once and think about, how does it feel to have this skill acquired? And is there any other angle that you would want to incorporate into this recurrence? And if not, then that's okay too. The same way that if you just want to go to a coffee shop just to try out any coffee shop, then that's fine. But if you are getting more specific about your why, then you might be able to kind of cultivate and curate a list of what it looks like to, I want to know how to dance, right? So maybe that list becomes a little bit more specific. Maybe that goal starts to shape up a little bit more. And so like, for example, when someone says, I really want to be healthy, that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. That might mean in reality, that person wants their blood work to look a certain way, or that person wants to lose 10 pounds, or that person wants to be able to do a push-up, or whatever it is, right? So I've always wanted to dance is more specific, but how can you make it more specific than that? How can you tunnel it down and give yourself a little bit more tangibility? Because when we have these overarching kind of general goals, then it can still give us this daunting, overwhelming feeling that leaves us in a state of inertia where we're not moving. So the point of this prompt right now is to get us to create a plan that is specific. And when you give yourself structure, it actually provides you with the opportunity to have more inertia to move. Because if I say, like, I just want to learn how to cook, and I go to the library, there's 2 aisles full of cookbooks, and it's like, where am I going to start here? I have overwhelm with all these options, right? So I just want to learn how to dance, that there is a million tutorials on different dances. So if we can come up with like the names of 5 dances that you want to do, or is it just the shuffle that you want to be able to do? You know what I mean? Like, if you can come up with something a little bit more concrete and check offable, and that list, once you do that, if you can remember, the whole point of this is to have it still feel fun. If you can look at that list and then say, that still feels fun to me. If I'm doing all those things, I still feel like I'm having fun. Then you really, really got it made. Okay. And then April today also said that she was looking, we did clarify that the list that she shared yesterday when she wasn't able to make it was, like, the list was about her being able to share her music collection and things about herself were about stuff that she, here, let me actually pull this up because I had a really nice insight about the prompts from yesterday, and I wanted to share this with you guys because I think it's going to help all of you. So Where? Okay. So basically, yesterday's goals were, or the three comments that I had you leave in after the first lesson were about one, what is something someone else gets to do that's frivolous or that you're jealous of? And then the other one was, what's something about yourself that you've been told that was weird about you or wrong that you secretly love? So basically, the answer to the first question is stuff that you need to let yourself love. Those are things that you need to bring out of yourself because you're finding a counterpoint in someone else. Like I say, the jealousy and irritation is always a call to action. So when you see the answers to those questions, those are parts of you that are dying to be loved. Those are parts of you that are like, please, 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 like celebrate me, express me, put me on a shelf. Like I want to come party and play with you. And then the answer to the second question of what's something you've been told or was weird or wrong about you that you secretly love, those are things that you've already done that with. Those are things that people have tried to shame about you, and you're like, no, but I actually really get it. I love myself. And you have already done an amazing job of practicing self-love and compassion. So we need to take the energy that we've applied for that number 2 of feeling like, what is weird about me that I don't love, or that I do love anyway. And if we can take that self-love and compassion and apply it to the other list of what am I seeing jealousy in another person or a younger person or that I don't get to do, if we can apply that to those things, because those are things about ourselves that we actually really do love about ourselves. We just haven't come out and play. So when I reframed it like that, I was like, okay, that's actually really, really helpful. I'm also seeing that Candace wrote a list here, and you wrote it out. So your fun goal is to learn to do the shuffle dance. You want to do it every day. There are lessons on YouTube, so you only need access to that. It costs nothing. There's no supplies needed. I want to start lessons tomorrow. I want to feel joy, satisfaction, and excitement. I'll need to do lessons and practice every day. When I did the lessons before, I couldn't complete the actual basic step needed for all the other steps. I can't get off the ground, literally. There are small jumping steps, and even though I practiced for 2 weeks, I couldn't do it. Okay, I see what you mean about that, because I was watching the tutorial. So that's about like having the strength and stamina to be able to jump. And that means that probably in order, because if that's your goal to do the shuffle is, I was watching it, it's an extremely cardiovascular aerobic driven dance. Like it is, I mean, that's it's a very hip hop move. It's a very cardiovascular hip hop dance. So what I would recommend is, instead of starting and going straight into that, then from a dancing background, I would say to strengthen first with a basic cardio program that incorporates jumping towards the end, or just do cardio first and then work up to jumping. So it's like cardio and then you work up to jumping and then you come back to the shuffle, because it's not like the shuffle part isn't like it's only like one jumping move. Like the jumping is the shuffle, right? So it's like throughout it. So it's like when I danced, I remember this one time we would go to regionals and travel all over the place, and we would go to all these like different dance classes when we were there, that we would spend like the whole weekend going to different kinds of types of classes, and I would get to take ballroom and like, you know, just bizarre stuff that I'd take mime. That was fun. But one of the ones that stood out was breakdancing. That was one that I was like, oh my God, I'm going to take breakdancing. This is cool. I'm going to come, because we were all really skilled, you know, and I was like, I'm going to come out of here knowing how to breakdance. You know, this is great. We only need an hour to do this. And I have never watched a group of girls who were so skilled in what they do fail so miserably. Like we had girls from that had made it into a competition from around like the East Coast just fall flat on their face. I think there were like, because there were probably like 100 girls in this auditorium, and there's, you know, just one teacher out there who he's used to teaching breakdancing. Like he's not used to teaching a bunch of like girls in leotards, and this I mean the basic step that he was teaching us was like on our arms. So it's like that thing that you see when they're like doing that circle spin on their shoulders. So we had to, you kind of were like making a box with your hands. And as you did that, you would eventually learn how to spin, right? Like, I don't know if that makes sense without me, but you have to learn it in slow motion first. You learn everything in slow motion first, right? And then you eventually would spin and you would add, quickness to it. And then it would start to look like that thing where people are like, on the cardboard on the ground, and then they do like a little spin on their shoulders and they're so. But the reason that we were falling flat on our face is that most dancers have impeccable leg strength. I still have really good leg strength. I can leg fight you still after like 15 years of not practicing. But a lot, not everybody, but a lot of us did not have any upper body. Like there was not really a reason for that. So because we didn't have any upper body, we were like just not able to hold ourselves up, even though we were just not weighing very much. We just didn't know how to do that. So my point in this very silly story is that if I really wanted to learn how to break dance, I know for a fact that teacher wouldn't have just told me, well, just keep doing it. You'll adapt. Like, no, I won't. I don't have biceps. What he probably would have told me was, go lift some weights, go build some strength in your upper body because you can barely lift grocery bags. So, and that is just what it was at the time. So if I really wanted to commit to breakdance, I would have needed an upper body strength to do that. So if the shuffle or the dance thing that you are desiring includes cardiovascular, being able to jump, yeah, then let's get in some jumping aspects. You can get a little trampoline to kind of build your confidence with that, like a mini one. I have one in my house. But it's also just like, yeah, I think it's just, there's got to be other tutorials about that as well. I think that that's the first step. Now, remember that that's not going to be as fun, right? But that's up to you about if you want to incorporate that into the goal. But that's 100% what everything is telling me is like, it's not that you can't do it. It's not, I don't believe that you can't do the step. It's just about like when I tried to go back to dance class, I tried to do like a pole dance class and stuff. And because I weigh so much, like when I've lost 70 pounds, but even that I have no, core strength. And I tried to do what is it called? A twerk on the wall. And I couldn't put myself up on the wall. Like I just couldn't lift myself up the normal way because I have no lower ab muscles. They're not there. So it's just, you need the access to certain things to do certain things. So you got to build from the other. Okay. Okay. And yeah, so just remember that like you want to think about like the quality, you want to think about the consistency, you want to think about what is the why that's motivating you to do something. And if you see like a speed block in the road, the same way that Candace was saying, like, I really want to be able to do this dance, but like this first step is not working out for me. Or if you are learning how to do a magic trick, like I thought that you wanted to do, and you can't figure out how to do something and it's about dexterity, you figure that out, then work on dexterity first, right? Like take a pause and work on dexterity and then come back, because it's not that you can't do a card trick. It's that there's actually a secondary skill that works in tandem with this skill that's going to help you in the long run. And that's about, you know, what I mentioned earlier in the, actually, no, I think that's tomorrow's episode about discomfort. You know, everything worth doing in life comes with some discomfort. So I do want your happy goal to be fun and exciting and joyous and lighthearted and wonderful. And at some point, there is going to be no way around the fact that you're going to have some frustration and some roadblocks and some discomfort and out of the comfort zone situations. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay. Let's see, where was I? Now, if you really crave structure with creating goals, on the last page of your worksheet, I wrote you out like a Mad Libs fill in the blank type journaling prompt that I didn't explain in the other video, and I'm going to explain here. So you first identify 3 feelings you want to experience this year. And ideally, I would recommend that you go back to day 1's worksheet and pick those words from question 1 about what happy means to you. Like, remember how April said bubbly and I was saying like exuberant and fun, right? So whatever happy means to you, I recommend like kind of plucking some of those words out and picking the top 3. So then you would list those out as feelings X, Y, and Z. And then you have these prompts that say, and this is very logical, this is very linear, this is very fill in the blank kind of thing, but it can help you, all right? So in order to feel X by the end of 2024, I would need to do this thing, blank, in order to feel that every month. And then there's one for that same feeling, but you have to do that every day. So the point of this prompt is to say, all right, so if I want to feel bubbly by the end of 2024, what am I going to have to do every day to make sure that happens? And then you can ask yourself that in terms of every month as well. So it's a way to get your mind thinking about looking fast forwarding into 12 months from now and kind of thinking about what happened, you know, last month where you were maybe assessing your year. And if you were to really embody the feeling of warmth or bubbly or fun or whatever it is, what would you need to do every day in order to make sure that you felt that? What would you need to do to feel bubbly every month? Or sorry, by the end of 2024, what would you need to do in order to feel that? And then you want to think about that in terms of daily and then in terms of monthly. So that's kind of giving yourself like a reminder, a daily check-in, something that you'll do consistently, and then also something that you're doing is kind of like a joy boost, right? A joy injection every month. So those are the 2 different kinds of ways that I want you to think about that. And then you can do that for all 3 emotions. And if you kind of, if you just start looking at that, you might be able to come up with some additional habits or reminders or practices or rituals that will be helpful in adding to your calendar. And remember that everything needs to go on your calendar. It needs to go on a schedule. If you're doing something every day, it'll be easier to not need to, you know, schedule it and set a reminder and stuff. But in the beginning, you really, really do need to commit to putting things on the calendar. We're all very distracted. Even when we don't have a job, even when there's nothing else going on, we can forget. Okay. Um, and these timelines, if you pick something that's daily or weekly, it's really a habit that you're cultivating. And we talked about like needing to stack those with something else that's recurring on that same timeline. And if something is monthly or yearly or quarterly, then that really needs to go on a schedule. But everything else can get, everything totally, no matter what it is, still gets planned for, and it still gets the thought put into it in terms of if it needs supplies, research, equipment, time off, whatever that is. Okay. And then the other thing is, I want you to think about one big fat goal, one big long-term goal. So I know that everybody so far that we've been seeing has been able to come up with a happy goal that's on a recurring system. You know, something that is going to make them feel good and feel happy and fun by their own definition of happy for, you know, something that's either daily or weekly or monthly, and that's great. And I love it, and we've all nailed that so far, and that's wonderful. And I also want you to think about something that's going to be more of like a joy boost, joy injection down the road. Something that you can have this anticipatory feeling for, something that's going to excite you, something that you can plan for longer term, something that's not going to like blow your anxiety out of the water. It might require more discomfort just because it's longer term. There might be more planning or research involved, but it doesn't have to be the most out of your comfort zone thing that you've ever done, right? It can still just be like, it could be going to an event that's already been planned. It could be, I don't know, like, I mean, it could be anything. It could be travel. It could be going to a new space. It could be organizing something even. It could be meeting up with a friend. It could be hosting something. It could be saving up money to buy something really exciting. It could be taking a road trip. It could be going to see a roadside attraction. I'm just saying things that I like. I don't know, I didn't really think of examples for this, but I think still looking at things that you think are fun, it shouldn't be that difficult to come up with something that is longer term. And by longer term, I mean something that you can do 3, 6, 9, or 12 months from now. Okay, so it shouldn't be able to be accomplished this month. It should be something that you're looking forward to. And you can have a couple. You could have one every quarter, or you can just have one. It can be something that you get a ticket to and you go to later. It's completely up to you. And it doesn't have to be something huge. Like I said, it's just something that you know is coming, that you can put on the calendar and be like, yep, I'm going to that. So if you can't think of one, let me know. Tell me what your, you can comment later and tell me what your things that you like are, and you know, what you're kind of circling around. You know, Candace, I know Candace loves Halloween. Maybe it could be something in Halloween time. Maybe it's going to Salem, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's doing something really fun with Halloween. Maybe it's your dream Halloween thing, a Halloween haunted house, going around to see all the lights. I don't know, anything. So yeah, just think about stuff that you really like. And you can also go back to those 2 lists that you made that are ways that you love yourself already, in ways that you know that you're weird, and also ways that you're jealous of other people, that things that they get to do because they're younger or whatever. And think about ways that you can celebrate and love yourself even more from those spaces. And those can be indicators about how you might want to create a goal longer term, a big fat goal from there. Okay, so that's planning. And tomorrow we're going to talk about how to stay in the moment, how to feel, how to enjoy, how to expand, how to make the most of your happy goal, how to like advance and enhance your happy goal, how to come up with more ideas. And yep, that's what's coming tomorrow. So I hope you enjoy. If you like one of the phone backgrounds, you can put it on your phone and get to scheduling. I want to see you start doing the thing. There's no reason you can't start already, at least planning. Okay, well, this is all for me tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time. Thank you so much for coming, and I'll see you tomorrow. I love you. You got to feel good to do good. Bye-bye.